I'll just say one thing, get ready for what's coming, because California is far more surprising and way crazier than you might think. And by the time we get to the final facts, you'll understand exactly what I mean. Let's start with fact number 35. California's coastline could wrap around the equator with miles to spare. The official coastline measures 840 miles, but that is a straight line cheat. The real shoreline length, counting every inlet, bay, and sea cave, explodes to 3,427 miles. You could circle the Earth's equator with that much coastline and still have enough left to stretch from Los Angeles to Seattle. This maritime complexity creates hundreds of microclimates. The northern coast looks like a Viking homeland. The central coast rivals Mediterranean shores, and the southern beaches could be movie stand-ins for Hawaii. This endless edge of America is why you can surf at dawn in San Diego, kayak through Big Sur's sea caves at noon, and watch fog roll over Mendocino cliffs by dusk. The state's economy, culture, and weather patterns revolve around this fractal boundary. 34. The transverse ranges defy all mountain logic. Most American mountain ranges march north-south like soldiers following continental orders. California's transverse ranges mutinied. They stretch east-west across Southern California like a belt cinched across America's waistline. This orientation creates meteorological chaos. Pacific storms slam into these perpendicular walls and dump moisture on southern slopes while leaving northern sides in rain-shadowed deserts. The San Gabriels and San Bernardinos are responsible for the fact that you can ski fresh powder in Big Bear Lake while palm trees sway in desert heat just 40 miles away. These crustal rebels are still rising, pushed by tectonic forces that ignore cardinal directions entirely. Their unique structure makes them one of America's youngest and most geologically active mountain systems. 33. The world's largest tree by volume is not a redwood. Coastal redwoods get all the height records, but size is about volume, not altitude. The General Sherman tree in Sequoia National Park contains over 52,500 cubic feet of wood, enough to construct 120 average American houses. At 275 feet tall, it is shorter than many redwoods, but its trunk diameter of 36 feet at the base makes it a wooden skyscraper. The tree weighs approximately 2.7 million pounds, making it the heaviest living organism on the planet. General Sherman adds enough wood annually to equal a full-size 65-foot tree, a growth rate that continues after 2,200 years. This single giant sequoia represents more biomass than an entire acre of typical forest, concentrating life into one impossible-to-comprehend package. 32. The highest and lowest points in the contiguous United States are siblings. Mount Whitney rises to 14,505 feet, the tallest peak in the lower 48 states. Badwater Basin in Death Valley drops to 282 feet below sea level, the lowest point in North America. These extremes are separated by just 85 miles of horizontal distance. You could eat breakfast atop Whitney and, if you had wings, be roasting in Death Valley by lunch. This vertical roller coaster creates a gradient so extreme that ecosystems change completely every few miles. The journey between them crosses alpine tundra, dense forests, high desert, and the most hostile environment in the Western Hemisphere. No other place in America packs such elevation drama into such a compact space, making it a geographer's dream and a cartographer's nightmare. 31. California's largest lake was created by a colossal engineering blunder. The Salton Sea did not exist until 1905. When Colorado River irrigation canals breached and flooded the Salton Sink for 2 years. The resulting lake spans 45 miles long and 20 miles wide, sitting 226 feet below sea level. At its peak, the Salton Sea attracted more visitors than Yosemite and hosted more yacht clubs than Lake Tahoe. Today, it is shrinking and becoming saltier than the Pacific Ocean, creating an ecological paradox where fish die-offs feed one of North America's most important bird migration stopovers. The sea is a monument to human hubris and nature's ability to repurpose our mistakes. It remains California's largest lake by surface area, a salty testament to unintended consequences. Before continuing, be sure to subscribe to discover hidden stories and curiosities about every US state that no one else will tell you. you. 30. More active volcanoes than a spy thriller has plot twists. California hosts 7 active volcanoes, surprising everyone who thinks eruptions only happen in Hawaii or the Pacific Northwest. Mount Shasta, a 40,179-foot stratovolcano, last erupted in 1786 and could wake up any century now. Lassen Peak blew its top between 1914 and 1917. Making it the only volcano in the contiguous United States to erupt in the 20th century. The Long Valley Caldera near Mammoth Lakes is a supervolcano that has been swelling and causing earthquakes since 1980. The Salton Buttes, Medicine Lake Volcano, Clear Lake Volcanic Field, and Mount Shastina round out the list. These geological pressure cookers remind residents that California's famous earthquakes share the stage with volcanic fireworks that the USGS monitors constantly. 29. The Central Valley is sinking faster than a lead anchor in a swimming pool. The San Joaquin Valley has dropped 28 feet in some places since the 1920s due to excessive groundwater pumping for agriculture. NASA measured the valley sinking at 2 feet per year in certain hotspots during the recent drought. Roads crack, canals break, and bridges need constant adjustment as the landscape deflates. This subsidence occurs when aquifers are drained faster than rain can replenish them, causing the ground to compact permanently. The sinking creates irreversible changes to the valley's water storage capacity, like crushing a sponge and wondering why it holds less liquid. This geological deformation is visible from space and represents one of the most dramatic human-caused land changes in North America, altering the very shape of the state. 28. One valley feeds America half its salad fixings. The Central Valley produces more than half of America's fruits, nuts, and vegetables on less than 1% of the nation's farmland. This 450-mile-long valley grows 99% of the country's artichokes and walnuts, plus 95% of its broccoli. The soil is so fertile, it practically grows rocks if you plant them. Irrigation transformed this semi-desert into an agricultural Eden that generates $50 billion annually. The valley cultivates 250 different crops, more than any other comparably sized region on Earth. Without this single valley, American grocery stores would be stocked with little more than potatoes and corn. It is a testament to human ingenuity and geological generosity, combining rich alluvial soils with a Mediterranean climate that allows year-round cultivation impossible elsewhere. 27. Palm trees and glaciers coexist within the same state borders. California's geography ignores logical climate rules. Active glaciers still grind away in the Sierra Nevada mountains, permanent ice fields that have survived since the last ice age. These frozen rivers persist at high elevations where temperatures never rise above freezing. Meanwhile, palm trees sway along beaches hundreds of miles south, creating tropical illusions. The state contains the southernmost glacier in the United States, the Palisade Glacier, and some of the northernmost palm tree groves. This climatic schizophrenia means you could ski on a glacier in the morning and, with enough determination and a fast car, be sipping cocktails under palm fronds by sunset. No other state contains such extremes of frozen and tropical landscapes within a day's drive. 26. Catalina Island's bison swam there. No, really. 14 bison arrived on Santa Catalina Island in 1924 for a movie shoot that never happened. The film crew left, the bison stayed, and they have been there ever since. These massive mammals did not take a ferry, they swam. Bison are surprisingly buoyant and can cross significant bodies of water when motivated. The Catalina herd now numbers around 150 individuals and represents one of the most genetically pure bison populations in America, free from the cattle genes that pollute most mainland herds. The island has no natural predators for adult bison, creating a bizarre ecosystem where these plains giants lounge on beaches and munch on island vegetation. The Catalina Island Conservancy manages the herd through birth control, a modern solution to an accidental population that has become an iconic part of the island's identity. 25. The Joshua Tree Forest is the densest on Earth. The Mojave National Preserve contains the world's largest and densest Joshua Tree Forest, covering 25,000 acres with these Dr. Seussian plants. Joshua trees are not actually trees, but members of the yucca family, making them giant succulents that can live over 500 years. The forest looks like a botanical army of twisted, spiky sentinels standing guard over the desert. These plants grow only in the Mojave Desert, and California hosts 2.5 million acres of them. The densest stands occur between 2,000 and 6,000 feet elevation, where conditions are perfect for their slow-motion growth. Climate change threatens this unique forest, as rising temperatures push suitable habitat northward faster than the trees can migrate or adapt, potentially creating a ghost forest within our lifetime. 24. California's state tree exists naturally nowhere else on the planet. The coastal redwood, California's official state tree, grows naturally only in a narrow 450-mile strip along the California and southern Oregon coast. These trees are living fossils, relatives of trees that lived during the age of dinosaurs. Their natural range is limited by fog patterns that provide up to 40% of their water needs. Redwoods extract moisture directly from the air through their needles, a trick that allows them to survive summer droughts. The fog also protects them from insect pests and forest fires. This hyper-specific habitat requirement means you cannot plant a redwood forest anywhere else on Earth and expect it to thrive. The trees are prisoners of geography, bound to a climate zone that exists only where Pacific moisture meets coastal mountains in perfect meteorological marriage. 23. The Lost Coast is California's last great wilderness escape. Most of California's coastline is accessible, developed, or at least visible from Highway 1. The Lost Coast laughs at such accessibility. This 80-mile stretch in Humboldt and Mendocino counties contains no major roads, no towns, and hardly any people. Mountains rise directly from the Pacific Ocean, creating a wall of wilderness that defeated highway engineers. State Route 1 was forced inland for 200 miles to bypass this geographical rebellion. The area remains reachable only by foot or four-wheel drive, preserving the largest undeveloped coastal area in the continental United States. Black bears wander the beaches, Roosevelt elk bugle in coastal meadows, and tides can trap the unwary against cliffs. The Lost Coast is California's geographical middle finger to development. A place where topography rules and humans visit only by permission of the landscape. 22. The Farallon Islands are a great white shark buffet 30 miles from San Francisco. The Farallon Islands sit 30 miles west of the Golden Gate Bridge, a cluster of rocky outcrops that host the largest concentration of great white sharks on Earth. These islands are the only place where scientists can study adult great whites in their natural habitat. The sharks arrive each fall to feast on seals and sea lions, creating a marine Serengeti just a short boat ride from one of America's most famous cities. The waters around the islands are so treacherous that even experienced captains hesitate to land. The islands themselves are closed to the public, a forbidden zone where wildlife reigns supreme and sharks patrol waters that could swallow a city skyline. This proximity of apex predators to a major metropolitan area is a geographical oddity unmatched anywhere else in the world. 21. The San Andreas Fault moves faster than your retirement fund grows. The San Andreas Fault system slides at an average rate of 2 inches per year, the same speed your fingernails grow. This might sound slow, but over millions of years, it has transported Los Angeles northward towards San Francisco at a pace that will merge the two cities in about 15 million years. The fault is visible from space as a linear scar across the landscape, cutting through deserts, mountains, and even the Salton Sea. It creates the state's most distinctive geographical feature, a crack in the Earth's crust where the Pacific and North American plates engage in a slow-motion wrestling match. The fault's movement has created valleys, moved rivers, and lifted mountains, all while humans built cities directly on top of it. 20. Mono Lake is a dead sea that refuses to die. Mono Lake has no outlet, making it 3 times saltier than the ocean and twice as salty as the Great Salt Lake. Yet it teems with life. Brine shrimp and alkali flies thrive in waters so alkaline they would dissolve most organisms. The lake's famous tufa towers are calcium carbonate spires that formed underwater when freshwater springs met the alkaline lake water. These towers now stand above the surface like a limestone forest, exposed after Los Angeles diverted the lake's tributary streams in the 1940s. Mono Lake is a geographical lesson in resilience, where extremophile organisms prove that life finds a way even in conditions that mimic battery acid. The lake covers 70 square miles of desert, a blue jewel surrounded by volcanic peaks. 19. The Channel Islands are California's Galapagos. The Channel Islands are California's Galapagos, a chain of 8 islands hosting 145 species found nowhere else. The island's isolation created evolutionary laboratories where unique animals and plants developed over millennia. The island fox, no larger than a house cat, evolved from mainland gray foxes that rafted to the islands 10,000 years ago. The islands also host the island scrub jay, the only bird species endemic to California. Pygmy mammoth fossils have been found on the islands, proving that dwarf elephants once roamed these rocky outposts. The island's geographical isolation created a time capsule of evolution, where species adapted to island life without human interference for thousands of years. Each island has its own distinct ecosystem. 18. Lake Tahoe contains enough water to flood California to a depth of 14 inches. Lake Tahoe holds 39 trillion gallons of water, making it the largest alpine lake in North America and the second deepest lake in the United States after Crater Lake. Its maximum depth of 1,645 feet means you could sink the Empire State Building in it and still have 200 feet of water covering the observation deck. The lake is so clear that objects are visible at depths of 70 feet, a clarity that has decreased from 100 feet due to development. Tahoe's water is 99.7% pure, nearly as pure as distilled water. The lake straddles the California-Nevada border at 6,025 feet elevation, a blue sapphire surrounded by peaks that rise another 4,000 feet above its surface. 17. The Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta is an inverted river system that confuses fish. Most rivers flow from land to sea. The Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta does the opposite. High tides push saltwater inland, creating a complex maze of waterways where freshwater and saltwater constantly battle for territory. This inverted system confuses migratory fish like salmon, which must navigate through 1,100 miles of leveed channels and islands to reach the ocean. The Delta's islands are actually below sea level, kept dry by 1,100 miles of levees that would make Dutch engineers nervous. Some islands have sunk 25 feet below sea level due to peat soil oxidation. The Delta is California's water heart, supplying drinking water to 27 million people and irrigation to 750,000 acres of farmland. 16. The Algodones Dunes are the largest sandmass in North America. The Algodones Dunes stretch 45 miles along the California-Arizona border, covering 200 square miles of pure silica sand. These dunes rise 300 feet high, creating a Saharan landscape in the middle of the Sonoran Desert. The sand originated from ancient Lake Cahuilla, which dried up 300 years ago, leaving behind fine sediments that wind sculpted into this massive dune field. The dunes are so large they have their own microclimate, with temperatures 20 degrees hotter at the sand surface than the surrounding desert. Off-road enthusiasts flock here, chewing up sections while 50,000 acres remain protected wilderness. The dunes march relentlessly eastward, swallowing everything in their path at a pace of 1 foot per year. 15. San Francisco Bay holds more water than all the rivers in California combined. San Francisco Bay is the largest estuary on the West Coast, covering 1,600 square miles and holding 1.5 trillion gallons of water. Its waters enter the Pacific through the Golden Gate, a strait only 1 mile wide that funnels 390 billion gallons of water in and out with each tide cycle. The bay is so deep that aircraft carriers can navigate its channels, with depths reaching 372 feet under the Golden Gate Bridge. The bay's watershed drains 40% of California's land area, collecting water from the Sierra Nevada, Central Valley, and Coast Ranges. Its geographical position makes it the drainage basin for an area larger than the state of Florida. 14. The Mendocino Triple Junction is where 3 tectonic plates have a ménage à trois. The Mendocino Triple Junction is one of the few places on Earth where 3 tectonic plates meet simultaneously. The Pacific, North American, and Gorda plates converge off California's northern coast, creating a geological traffic jam that generates constant earthquakes. This triple junction is moving northward at 2 inches per year, dragging the Northern California coast with it. The junction's complexity creates the state's most seismically active region, with more earthquakes per year than the rest of California combined. The San Andreas Fault begins here, launching its 800-mile journey southward. This underwater intersection has shaped California's entire coastline, creating the dramatic cliffs of the Lost Coast and the offshore seamounts. 13. The ancient bristlecone pines are the world's oldest living weather stations. The White Mountains of Eastern California host the world's oldest living trees, bristlecone pines that have survived for over 5,000 years. These gnarled veterans grow at elevations between 9,800 and 11,000 feet, where soil is thin, water is scarce, and winds howl relentlessly. Their slow growth creates dense, resinous wood that resists decay and insects. Scientists can read annual growth rings like a diary of climate change, tracking precipitation and temperature variations back to the construction of the Egyptian pyramids. The oldest known tree, Methuselah, is 4,153 years old, meaning it sprouted before the invention of writing. These trees are geographical archives. 12. Death Valley's Racetrack Playa features rocks that move all by themselves. The Racetrack Playa in Death Valley hosts a mystery that baffled scientists for decades. Rocks weighing up to 700 pounds slide across the flat lake bed, leaving trails in the cracked mud like giant snails. No one witnessed the movement until 2014, when time-lapse cameras captured the secret. Thin sheets of ice form on winter nights, then break into large panels that wind pushes across the shallow water, carrying the rocks with them. The playa is 3 miles long and perfectly flat, with a surface so level that the US Navy once used it as a radar target. The moving rocks are a geographical sleight of hand, where ice, wind, and desert combine to create slow-motion magic. 11. The Sierra Nevada is still growing taller, despite millions of years of erosion. The Sierra Nevada mountains are not wearing down as fast as you might think. Tectonic forces push the range upward at a rate of about 1 to 2 millimeters per year. And this occurs because dense rock at the base of the mountains is peeling off and sinking into the mantle, allowing the lighter crust above to float higher, like removing ballast from a hot air balloon. While glaciers, rivers, and weathering constantly chip away at the peaks, the uplift outpaces erosion in many areas. Over the past few million years, this process has added thousands of feet to the range's elevation. This geological growth spurt means the mountains you see today are actually higher than they were when humans first arrived. A rare example of mountains gaining height rather than succumbing to the relentless pull of gravity and time. Before we get to the 10 facts that corroborate what I told you at the beginning, remember to subscribe to the channel and give it a like to become experts in American geography. 10. San Diego's tide pools host more species than a coral reef. The rocky intertidal zone along San Diego's coastline is a biological superhighway where cold northern currents meet warm southern waters, creating a mixing bowl of marine life. A single tide pool can contain over 200 species, from sea stars and anemones to hermit crabs and octopuses. This biodiversity surpasses many coral reefs, which are often dominated by a handful of coral species. The Cabrillo National Monument tide pools alone have documented more than 300 species. The key is extreme environmental variability. Tide pools experience dramatic temperature fluctuations, salinity changes, and wave action that would kill most organisms. This creates micro niches where specialists thrive, packing more distinct life forms into a few square feet than an entire acre of terrestrial habitat, making San Diego's coast a marine biodiversity hotspot. 9. Clear Lake has been around since before modern humans evolved. Clear Lake in Lake County is one of the oldest lakes in North America, with geological estimates placing it at 480,000 years old. This predates the appearance of anatomically modern humans by roughly 200,000 years, making the lake an elder witness to the entire saga of human evolution. The lake formed when volcanic activity and landslides dammed a valley, creating a permanent water body that has survived multiple ice ages, prolonged droughts, and volcanic eruptions. Its age has allowed unique ecosystems to evolve, including fish species found nowhere else on Earth. The lake sits atop the Clear Lake volcanic field, which remains active with hot springs bubbling along its shores and magma chambers simmering 4 miles below the surface. Geologists monitor the area constantly, aware that this ancient lake could be reshaped by the same volcanic forces that created it. The lake's waters are naturally turbid from volcanic minerals, giving it a characteristic greenish hue that belies its name and its primordial origins. 8. The New River flows into California as America's most polluted river. The New River crosses the Mexico-California border, carrying a toxic cocktail that earns it the title of America's most polluted river. It begins as agricultural runoff and urban sewage in Mexico, then delivers nearly 20 million gallons of contaminated water daily into the Salton Sea. The river carries pesticides, heavy metals, and pathogens in concentrations that make federal Superfund sites look pristine. Border towns have reported foam on the river catching fire due to chemical concentrations. Despite this toxicity, the river supports a surprising array of wildlife, including migratory birds that use the Salton Sea as a critical stopover. The New River is a geographical paradox, a lifeline in the desert that is simultaneously an environmental disaster, flowing through one of the most productive agricultural regions in America, and reminding us that water problems ignore political boundaries. 7. California's deserts have more plant species than New England's forests. California's 3 desert regions, the Mojave, Sonoran, and Great Basin, contain over 2,500 native plant species. New England's famously lush forests harbor around 2,000 species. This desert diversity seems impossible given the harsh conditions, but California's varied elevation, soil types, and microclimates create evolutionary pressure cookers where adaptation runs wild. The Mojave alone has 250 species of cacti and succulents, while the Sonoran Desert includes the bizarre boojum tree, a 60-foot tall succulent that looks like an inverted parsnip. This botanical richness occurs because deserts eliminate competition from moisture-loving plants, allowing specialists to thrive in isolation. The result is a plant diversity that defies the stereotype of deserts as barren wastelands, proving that adversity breeds innovation in the plant kingdom. 6. The Sacramento River can flood an area bigger than Massachusetts. The Sacramento River's floodplain encompasses the entire Central Valley, which is 450 miles long and up to 60 miles wide. During major flood events, this basin becomes an inland sea, covering over 10,000 square miles. Massachusetts covers 10,565 square miles, meaning a catastrophic flood could theoretically submerge an area equivalent to the Bay State under several feet of water. The Great Flood of 1862 turned the Central Valley into a lake 300 miles long and 20 miles deep in places, lasting for months. Today, 1,600 miles of levees protect cities and farmland, but these aging walls face increasing pressure from climate change and subsidence, creating a geographical gamble where one massive storm could overwhelm the entire system. 5. The Golden Gate Bridge's name comes from the strait, not the paint. The Golden Gate Bridge gets its name from the Golden Gate Strait, the narrow entrance to San Francisco Bay that was named in 1846, long before the bridge existed. Explorer John C. Fremont named it after the Golden Horn Harbor in Istanbul, noting the strategic importance. The name refers to the golden light that bathes the strait at sunset and the golden opportunity the harbor represented. The bridge's iconic orange color, officially called International Orange, was chosen to complement the natural surroundings and enhance visibility. So the bridge is named after the geographical feature it spans, not its distinctive paint job, a fact that confuses tourists who expect to find a golden-colored gate. 4. Point Reyes is a geological castaway on the wrong tectonic plate. Point Reyes Peninsula is a chunk of the Pacific Plate that got separated from mainland California by the San Andreas Fault. The peninsula is marching northward at 2 inches per year, destined to become an island in about 10 million years as the fault pulls it away from the coast. Its geology matches the Tehachapi Mountains 300 miles south, proving it originated there before the fault transported it north. The peninsula's landscape looks like it belongs in Southern California, with rolling hills and coastal bluffs that contrast sharply with the rugged terrain of the mainland coast just across the fault line. Point Reyes is a geographical orphan, a piece of terrain that is physically attached to California but tectonically divorced from it. 3. Anza Borrego Desert State Park is larger than the city of Los Angeles. Anza Borrego Desert State Park spans 640,000 acres, making it California's largest state park and the second largest in the contiguous United States. The city of Los Angeles covers 468,000 acres, meaning you could drop the entire urban sprawl of LA into the park and still have room for San Diego. This vast desert wilderness protects 600,000 acres of the Colorado Desert, a subset of the larger Sonoran Desert. The park contains 500 miles of dirt roads, 110 miles of hiking trails, and 12 designated wilderness areas. Its size creates complete ecosystems where bighorn sheep, coyotes, and bobcats roam without ever encountering a fence or a road, a rare achievement in a state where development reaches into every corner. 2. The California Current moves more water than all Earth's rivers combined. The California Current is a massive oceanic river that flows southward along the coast, moving 20 million cubic meters of water per second. Add up every river on Earth and they transport only 1.2 million cubic meters per second. This current is 1,200 miles long and 300 miles wide, a liquid continent that controls weather patterns from British Columbia to Baja California. The current's cold, nutrient-rich waters create one of the world's most productive marine ecosystems, supporting everything from microscopic plankton to blue whales. Its sheer volume influences fog formation, coastal temperatures, and rainfall patterns across the entire western United States. This underwater highway is the true geographical powerhouse of the Pacific Coast. 1. California's geographic center is North Fork, a town that defines the middle of nowhere. The exact geographic center of California sits near the town of North Fork in Madera County, at 37 degrees 9 minutes north latitude and 119 degrees 27 minutes west longitude. This point sits 7 miles southwest of North Fork, a community of 3,000 that perches at the base of the Sierra Nevada. The location is so remote that the state placed a plaque in 1996, but visitors must navigate Forest Service roads to find it. North Fork is 150 miles from the coast and 150 miles from the Nevada border, a perfect midpoint that represents the geographical heart of America's most geographically complex state. This center of everything is surrounded by nothing but forest, mountains, and the faint echo of California's endless contradictions. Now that you know these 35 facts about California, tell us, which one did you like the most or which one surprised you the most? We'd love to read your opinion in the comments and see how many of us picked the same number. And something else many of us will probably agree on is watching the video I'm leaving on screen, because we all love sharing and learning interesting facts. And that's exactly what this video is all about. But before you watch it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give it a like. Otherwise, we might not see each other again.